Okay, 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 okay. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 Studying the Bible with Mike, Sam, Pat. These other YouTubers are just so trash. Hit the thumbs up if you want to support. Go follow Mike as he follows the Lord. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 You better watch out, Mike's calling out the shields. If you're not free grace, you need to sit down and chill. We're not hyper grace, you know we keep it real. Eternally secure, you know that we're sealed. We don't back low, we're not workspace heretics. Mike's not in it for the money, trying to get a lick. They out here selling their souls for a couple clicks. Becoming Freemasons so they can just get rich. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 Shout out to Mike, Sam, Pat. Check out his channel, Toronto Bible Study. Subscribe and like.
The same day went Jesus out of the house and sat by the seaside, and great multitudes were gathered together unto him, so that he went into a ship and sat, and the whole multitude stood on the shore. And he spake many things unto them in parables, saying, Behold, a sower went forth to sow. And when he sowed, some seeds fell by the wayside, and the fowls came and devoured them up. Some fell upon stony places, where they had not much earth, and forthwith they sprung up, because they had no deepness of earth, and when the sun was up they were scorched, and because they had no root they withered away. And some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprung up and choked them. But other fell into good ground, and brought forth fruit, some 100-fold, some 60-fold, some 30-fold. Who hath ears to hear, let him hear. And the disciples came and said unto him, Why speakest thou unto them in parables? He answered and said unto them, Because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. For whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken away even that he hath. Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they, seeing, see not, and hearing, they hear not, neither do they understand. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Esaias, which saith, By hearing ye shall hear, and shall not understand, and seeing ye shall see, and shall not perceive. For this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them. But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For verily I say unto you, that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which ye see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which ye hear, and have not heard them. Hear ye therefore the parable of the sower. When anyone heareth the word of the kingdom, and understandeth it not, then cometh the wicked one, and catcheth away that which was sown in his heart. This is he which received seed by the wayside. But he that received the seed into stony places, the same is he that heareth the word, and anon with joy receiveth it. Yet hath he not root in himself, but dureth for a while. For when tribulation or persecution ariseth because of the word, by and by he is offended. He also that received seed among the thorns is he that heareth the word, and the care of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becometh unfruitful. But he that received seed into the good ground is he that heareth the word and understandeth it, which also beareth fruit, and bringeth forth some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then hath it tares? He said unto them, An enemy hath done this. The servants said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And in the time of harvest I will say to the reapers, Gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is like to a grain of mustard seed, which a man took and sowed in his field, which indeed is the least of all seeds. But when it is grown, it is the greatest among herbs, and becometh a tree, so that the birds of the air come and lodge in the branches thereof. Another parable spake he unto them, The kingdom of heaven is like unto leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal, till the whole was leavened. All these things spake Jesus unto the multitude in parables, and without a parable spake he not unto them, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet, saying, I will open my mouth in parables, I will utter things which have been kept secret from the foundation of the world. Then Jesus sent the multitude away, and went into the house. And his disciples came unto him, saying, Declare unto us the parable of the tares of the field. He answered and said unto them, He that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of this world. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and them which do iniquity, and shall cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who hath ears to hear, let him hear. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto treasure hid in a field, the which when a man hath found, he hideth, and for joy thereof goeth and selleth all that he hath, and buyeth that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a merchantman seeking goodly pearls, who when he hath found one pearl of great price, went and sold all that he had, and bought it. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a net that was cast into the sea, and gathered of every kind, which when it was full, they drew to shore, and sat down, and gathered the good into vessels, but cast the bad away. So shall it be at the end of the world. The angel shall come forth, and sever the wicked from among the just, and shall cast them into the furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Jesus saith unto them, Have ye understood all these things? They say unto him, Yea, Lord. Then said he unto them, Therefore every scribe which is instructed unto the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is an householder, which bringeth forth out of his treasure things new and old. Chapter 12. Whoso loveth instruction loveth knowledge, but he that hateth reproof is brutish. A good man obtaineth favor of the Lord, but a man of wicked devices will he condemn. A man shall not be established by wickedness, but the root of the righteous shall not be moved. A virtuous woman is a crown to her husband, but she that maketh ashamed is as rottenness in his bones. The thoughts of the righteous are right, but the counsels of the wicked are deceit. The words of the wicked are to lie in wait for blood, but the mouth of the upright shall deliver them. The wicked are overthrown and are not, but the house of the righteous shall stand. A man shall be commended according to his wisdom, but he that is of a perverse heart shall be despised. He that is despised and hath a servant is better than he that honoureth himself and lacketh bread. A righteous man regardeth the life of his beast, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. He that tilleth his land shall be satisfied with bread, but he that followeth vain persons is void of understanding. The wicked desireth the net of evil men, but the root of the righteous yieldeth fruit. The wicked is snared by the transgression of his lips, but the just shall come out of trouble. A man shall be satisfied with good by the fruit of his mouth, and the recompense of a man's hands shall be rendered unto him. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise. A fool's wrath is presently known, but a prudent man covereth shame. He that speaketh truth showeth forth righteousness, but a false witness deceit. There is that speaketh like the piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is health. The lip of truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. Deceit is in the heart of them that imagine evil, but to the counselors of peace is joy. There shall no evil happen to the just, but the wicked shall be filled with mischief. Lying lips are abomination to the Lord, but they that deal truly are his delight. A prudent man concealeth knowledge, but the heart of fools proclaimeth foolishness. The hand of the diligent shall bear rule, but the slothful shall be unto tribute. Heaviness in the heart of man maketh it stoop, but a good word maketh it glad. The righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduceth them. The slothful man roasteth not that which he took in hunting, but the substance of a diligent man is precious. In the way of righteousness is life, and in the pathway thereof there is no death.
Okay. Hello. Welcome to Toronto Bible Study. Sorry about that, guys. I was like trying to find a good background for my cross thing. So anyway, how are you, everyone? God bless you. Hello, Sabo. God bless you, brother. Angelo. Hello. How are you, sir? Welcome to Toronto Bible Study. These are gonna need today. We're gonna read Psalms 2. Yeah, that's right. Good morning. Please pray for me today. 3 years and 6 months ago, my son passed away. I'm not okay. Without strength in me, I know Jesus Christ is risen. Why am I alive? It's not work. I'm not working for God. All right, I will pray for you, Liliana. I'm sorry to hear all that. I of course knew about your son, but I didn't know it was like that. But okay. I'm sorry. All right, so let me say a prayer and then we'll get started. Heavenly Father, Almighty God, Father, may the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable unto you, O God, our rock and our Redeemer. Father, we're about to study the second chapter of the Song of Solomon, and we just ask your guidance, your wisdom, your knowledge, your understanding to apply to this scripture and to understand it, to bring it into our lives, to make it part of us, and to help us to grow in the grace and knowledge of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And Father, I'd also like to raise up our sister Liliana to you and ask that you help her. She's struggling. She's in pain. She's suffering. You know her struggles, Father, and you know where she hurts and why. And just help her to come through this and help her to manage this psychological and spiritual pain that she's in, and help her to overcome this thing and to grow and to become a better servant of your Holy Son, Jesus Christ. We ask this for all of us, Father. All of us can improve and become better servants. All of us have our sufferings and our pain, and we just ask that you help all of us in this. And we ask all this in the name of your holy Son, Jesus Christ. Let him be glory forever and ever. Amen. All right, so thanks, Angela. That's nice. Good. All right, guys. So we're gonna do Liliana. I hope that helped. I will certainly continue to pray for you. All right, now. Yesterday we read chapter 1. And so, oh wait, let me I just didn't even share the screen with you guys. Well, I'm so dumb. I always do that, eh? Okay, so yesterday we were looking at Song of Solomon chapter 1. And we saw that it's a Song of Songs, which some people would suggest that means it's the best song. Like the Hebrews would often do that, the Holy of Holies, the Song of Songs. They'll say they don't have a word for the best or the worst or anything. So they'll just say, this is the Holy of Holies, or this is the Song of Songs. They just put the same word twice. And so it might be saying that this is the best song, the greatest of all songs. Or it might be saying that this is a song made up of little songs, right? So I prefer the first interpretation because that's the more common thing we see in the Bible. And so I prefer the idea that this is one song, the whole piece. But some people suggest that it's a bunch of little poems put together. And so that's why they say that. And then it says, which is Solomon's. So you might interpret that to mean that Solomon wrote this. Or you might say that it's strongly associated with him, but it's not necessarily he wrote it. Maybe it's written for him. Or maybe it's written with him in mind. But it says it's which is Solomon's. So there's different interpretations of what that exactly means. But we saw that the woman is the major character in the poem. She's the one who speaks more often. She's the one who is the main driving character force in the story or in the poem. Okay, so we learned that. And we learned that she might be somewhere from the country or something, like where she was out working in the fields and then she became kind of sunburnt. She became black, as it says. But she's beautiful. But she's some kind of outsider to the daughters of Jerusalem. And so who are they, right? It seems like sometimes she's talking to them as her friends, but also sometimes as if they're kind of like her rivals for the affection of her lover, maybe. And she talks about how her brothers or her mother's children, it seems like her brothers, were angry with her. This is her mother's children, Ben, which means usually son. So it's like her mother's sons were angry with her. And so they made her the keeper of the vineyards, so she became dark because of all the work she did in the field. But then they have a little back and forth between the man and the woman. They're talking back towards each other. And he's just complimenting her beauty. And she's complimenting his beauty as well. And they end off with this idea that, she says, behold, thou art fair, my love, right? Or he says that to her. Then she says, behold, thou art fair. So they compliment each other's beauty. But then she says this, also our bed is green. The beams of our house are cedar, and our rafters are of fir. So this may mean that they're in some kind of building made out of cedar and fir. But the more likely interpretation is that they're outside. Their bed is green because they're lying on the grass. and their beams of our house are cedar and rafters of fir, because they're surrounded by trees. And these type of trees give a nice scent, so they're in like a nice place for their lovemaking. And then we have this chapter now. So I'm going to read this chapter to you, but you know what, you guys, I forgot my my plug, and my computer is going to run out of power in a minute. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to play a song, and I'll be back in 1 minute, okay? Sorry about this. 1 minute.
In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw also the Lord sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, and his train filled the temple. Above it stood the seraphims. Each one had 6 wings. With twain he covered his face, and with twain he covered his feet, and with twain he did fly. And one cried unto another and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. And the posts of the door moved at the voice of him that cried, and the house was filled with smoke. Then said I, Woe is me, for I am undone, because I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips. For mine eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts. Then flew one of the seraphims unto me, having a live coal in his hand, which he had taken with the tongs from off the altar. And he laid it upon my mouth, and said, Lo, this hath touched thy lips, and thine iniquity is taken away, and thy sin purged. Also I heard the voice of the Lord, saying, Whom shall I send? And who will go for us? Then said I, Here am I. Send me. And he said, Go and tell this people, Hear ye.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. I hope you can hear me. Let's see. I appreciate it. God bless you all. I just wanted to die. Everyone is fake. I'm usually strong for everyone, but not today. I'm ungrateful. I have everything materialistic, the love of my family. Well, don't be too sad. I understand you're tired, but, don't put yourself down like that, I understand, like, none of us are perfect, right? But the fact that we're not perfect doesn't mean that we're bad or that we're just, like, if you're ungrateful, okay, that's the thing sometimes we struggle with, so you can work on that. But, and it's good that you identified these problems, but don't get too down on yourself, But I'm glad you're feeling a little bit better. Yeah, Scorpio reading's crazy, man. It's so peak. But then I don't know, for some reason he's not a Christian. Or he died, he was never a Christian. Or supposedly, we don't know, right? Maybe he got saved. Hope so. Okay, so the Song of Solomon. This is chapter 2. So we'll read it as its own little poem, right? I mean, like I say, I think the whole thing is a poem, but I do think the chapters, as we're given them, are from God. They're providentially given to us from God. And so these chapters are probably chapter breaks given because these are separate little sections of the poem. Okay, so this is section 2. So let me read it to you and then we'll talk about it. I am the rose of Sharon and the lily of the valleys. As the lily among thorns, so is my love among the daughters. As the apple tree among the trees of the wood, so is my beloved among the sons. I sat down under his shadow with great delight, and his fruit was sweet to my taste. He brought me to the banqueting house, and his banner over me was love. Stay me with flagons, comfort me with apples, for I am sick of love. His left hand is under my head, and his right hand doth embrace me. I charge you, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, by the roes and by the hinds of the field, that ye stir not up nor awake my love till ye please. The voice of my beloved, behold, he cometh leaping upon the mountains, skipping upon the hills. My beloved is like a roe or a young hart. Behold, he standeth behind our wall, He looketh forth at the windows, showing himself through the lattice. My beloved spake and said unto me, Rise up, my love, my fair one, and come away. For lo, the winter is past, the rain is over and gone. The flowers appear on the earth, the time of the singing birds is come, and the voice of the turtle is heard in our land. The fig tree putteth forth her green figs, and the vines with the tender grape give a good smell. Arise, my love, my fair one, and come away. O my dove, that art in the clefts of the rock, in the secret places of the stairs, let me see thy countenance, let me hear thy voice, for sweet is thy voice, and thy countenance is comely. Take us the foxes, the little foxes, to spoil the vines, for our vines have tender grapes. My beloved is mine, and I am his. He feedeth among the lilies. Until the day break and the shadows flee away, turn, my beloved, and be thou like a roe or a young hart upon the mountains of Bether. Amen. So that's chapter 2. Let's talk about this more in depth. Fakeness comes out of fear, from what I can tell, and it's because people fear what others think about them, so they make a persona. Yeah, that's probably true. Okay, I'm the rose of Sharon and the lily of the valleys. As the lily among thorns, so is my love among the daughters. So this part, this usually the way this is seen is the woman saying this, and the man is saying this. Okay? And then the woman says this now in response. Okay, so it's kind of like this back and forth between the lovers, and then they move on to say other things later on. So this first 3 verses are kind of read together usually. Okay, so let me just read these to you. I am the rose of Sharon and the lily of the valleys. As the lily among thorns, so is my love among the daughters. As the apple tree among the trees of the wood, so is my beloved among the sons. I sat down under his shadow with great delight, and his fruit was sweet to my taste. So, the woman is identifying herself, or actually, let's look at this section. This section from 1 to 7 is usually seen as a poem in itself. Okay, but you remember I was telling you some people think of it as many different poems put together, and then other people think of it as one long poem, right? So the people who think of it as many different poems, they usually see 1 to 7 here as one poem, and then the rest of the chapter is another poem. And then for those who, even for those who see it as one long poem, they usually separate this one as a section. So let's look at this one as a total piece, okay? But now, certainly for sure, 1 to 3 should be treated together. They're definitely, verses 1 to 3 are definitely part of one thing. Okay, it's this interchange between the man and the woman, and they're talking about the flowers and stuff. So the woman is giving this expression of her as a flower, but it's kind of self-deprecating. We'll talk about that some more. And the man picks up the image and expresses his admiration for the woman's beauty. She may be a lily, but everybody around her is a thorn. And then the woman replays the compliment. He's this apple tree among the ordinary trees. So they stand out from the crowd, basically. And then the next 4 verses there's a subtle connection there because they mention apples here. And also, but the woman is telling of this experience that she had, okay? Her lovers brought her to the wine house. And then she talks about how she's sick of love and she needs help she needs some kind of sustenance. And then then it ends off with these two verses about the lovers together. And then these two verses are kind of like a refrain for the book, but we'll talk about that some more as well, okay? But anyway, so when we look at this one, I am the rose of Sharon and the lily of the valley. So the rose of Sharon, the reason why they say this is, okay, let me show you the Hebrew here. Sharon is a place in Israel. It's like a plain, the plain of Sharon. Let me show you that. Okay, the plain of Sharon is here, right? This is, remember, this is Gaza, this is the West Bank, and this is the plain of Sharon. Okay, and it's mentioned in Egyptian stele, mentioned in the Bible, obviously. And then let me see if I could get you some images here. So look at that, eh? Look at how, is that? Wow, dude. Is that it? Wow, that's beautiful still. Anyway, it's supposed to be this really beautiful place. And it's full of like plants and things growing. See, there's another shot of it now today. Okay. Now this is the flower that they now call the rose of Sharon, which is actually a hibiscus. So what happened is the King James is just translating this word. There's a word here. Let me show you the word, the Hebrew thing. So this word is Havatzelet. Okay, Havatzelet is a word that it seems to me some kind of flower. They don't know exactly what kind. And so the King James put the rose of Sharon because it's the Havatzelet Hasharon. Okay, so it's of Sharon, of the plain of Sharon. So it's some kind of flower from the plain of Sharon, and we don't know what kind of flower it is, right? Now, later on in English, they came to find this flower called the hibiscus, which is actually native to China, and that's the flower that they now call the rose of Sharon, the hibiscus. But it's certainly not the hibiscus that the King James is referring to here. What flower this might be, we don't really know. It might be some people have put some theories up. Let me just find some of these theories about it. Wait. No, they don't really know. They don't really know what kind of flower it is. They have some theories about it, but it's not really clear. It's probably not like a unique flower, but it's just like it's a rose or the rose, right? The rose of Sharon. It's just one flower. You know? The rose. Now I was thinking it might be this rose, this flower called the I guess I didn't put a note here for it, but anyway. There's a flower, there's a type of hibiscus that's native to Israel, so it might be that. Or there's some other theories about other flowers that it might be from the region, such as I was showing you one of them here. Hang on. Wow, I'm so disorganized. I'm so disorganized, guys. It's absolutely insane. But yeah, okay, so this is one possibility. This flower, which, let me tell you what it is. Onion-like flower bulb. Like this is a theoretical translation of this word. Havatzelet is that it's a onion-like flower bulb. You know how some flowers like the tulip, and that's one of the theories, right? That there's a type of tulip, Tulipa aganensis. This one, Tulipa aganensis. Some people think this might be the one. And so tulips, if you didn't know, when tulips come back every year, right? So what they'll do is they'll come up as a flower, and then after the season is done, then they go back into this little bulb in the ground, and then the next year they'll come up again. So that's why they call it a bulb. So it might be from that type of thing, you know. So that's a possibility, what kind of flower it is. But anyway, the Rose of Sharon, the point is that it's a very common flower in the region. So she's trying to point out that she's kind of like she's beautiful. She's saying like she's not saying that she's not beautiful, but that she's not some very extraordinary flower or anything. She's just saying that she's like a regular flower, you know? Now we can see this word is here. The wilderness and the solitary place. This is Isaiah 35:1. The wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them, and the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose. Havatzelet. So this is that same word, okay? Look at the translation for it though. Asphodel. Asphodel. Is that a word? Is that a flower? Oh, some people think it's this flower. Okay. All right. Let me see. Let me show you this flower. So you may notice that in my thing, it translated the word as asphodel. So some people think it's this flower. Okay. Which it might be, but the point is that the King James isn't incorrect here by saying Rose of Sharon. It's just using the word rose generically as a type of flower, and it's saying that it's a flower of that field, Sharon. But nobody actually knows what flower it is. So any type of theory about what flower it is just that. It's just a theory. Nobody really knows. Okay. So the King James has Rose of Sharon. It's not a hibiscus though. It's some kind of flower from the Sharon Valley in Israel. So, but she says that in the lily of the valleys, right? The lily of the valleys may represent like purity, its whiteness, and also being set apart. Kind of like come out from among them type of idea, yeah. So it might be representing those things if we look at it allegorically. But anyway, but by saying that she's a flower, she's saying she is acknowledging her beauty, right? And this type of description, like the nature imagery, is common in the book, right? We've seen a lot of the nature imagery already, and we'll see more. Now, in Isaiah 35:1, where we read it, it's like the desert will be filled with these flowers, right? It's going to be blooming with these things. And so that's like when God returns, right? So there's a metaphor here for the joy of those that are redeemed by God, you know? But she's referring to herself as this common flower. She's not saying she's some unique flower, but that she's a common flower. Now, other references to this place Sharon in the Bible are Isaiah 33:9. The earth mourneth and languisheth, Lebanon is ashamed and hewn down. Sharon is like a wilderness, and Bashan and Carmel shake off their fruits. So he's talking about how the place has been desolated, right? And he's talking about these different places, everything's been ripped down. And then 35:2. See, this is the same place where they use that word havatzelet, and then it shall blossom abundantly and rejoice even with joy and singing. The glory of Lebanon shall be given unto it, the excellency of Carmel and Sharon. They shall see the glory of the Lord and the excellency of our God. See? So there's some other places where Sharon is mentioned, but it's a place where there's lots of flowers anyway. And there's also, she also says she's the lily of the valleys, right? Well, the exact reference to this word, this is the word Shoshona. Shoshona. So the exact reference is not clear. Some people say it may be better interpreted as lotus, you know, which is a type of lily anyway. But there's more kind of erotic overtones to the lotus than the lily, maybe. So that might be why. But it's just that the main significance is that she's not trying to over exaggerate her beauty. She's trying to say that she's attractive, but she's like common. She's regular. That's what she's trying to say, you know. For example, she's saying she's a lily of the valley, right? But look at what Jesus said. Yet I say unto you that even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these, the lilies of the valley. Why take ye thought for raiment? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. So Solomon is more glorious, or these flowers are more glorious than the lilies of the field, right? So the lily of the valley is very beautiful still, but it's nothing outstanding. It's nothing amazing. It's like a flower you see all the time. So she's kind of imply that she's just like a regular flower. She's nothing compared to him, you know? And so it might be like this kind of subtle attempt to kind of flirt with him, to try to get him to fishing for a compliment, maybe, you know? And that's why he returns it by saying, oh, as the lily among thorns, so is my love among the daughters. So, well, she's saying, oh, I'm just a lily of the valley, just a regular lily, just a thing you see all the time. He says, no. As a lily among thorns, you're a lily among thorns. All the other daughters, they're just thorns, right? The thorn is like something you don't want to touch. You don't want to come near, right? And the thorn might represent here, like, I mean, depending on how you want to think of it, the thorn might represent kind of like, we've seen thorns previously in the Bible. Think about Genesis 3:18. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth unto thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. So this is when God has cursed the ground for Adam's sake because of his sin, right? And then you might think of Matthew 13:7. So the person is putting out the seeds. He's sowing the seeds, and some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprung up and choked them. And then he talks about it later. He also that receives the seed among the thorns is he that heareth the word, and the care of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becometh unfruitful. So thorns are generally a negative thing in the Bible, right? So, and obviously even for us, it's not something you want to touch or even really look at. It's nothing to look at, right? The flower, you would rather look at the flower. So if she's a lily among thorns, she's very special among all the daughters. She's much better to look at than all the daughters, is what he's saying, right? Now, the fact that he says, "So is my love," this word raya is kind of his word for the woman, and it's not a word that we see in other books of the Bible. So it's just always used by him about her. It's like his little pet name for her. Okay. And so he notices that, yeah, she's a lily, but she's a lily among thorns. So she's the most, she may be just an ordinary, or she thinks of herself as just an ordinary lily. And he says, no, you're a lily among thorns. You're the most beautiful thing around. You're the most beautiful woman around, you know? All the thorns are they don't have colors. They're not colorful. They're rough looking. And they're nothing you want to touch, nothing you want to hold intimately, right? Like that's the difference between a thorn and a flower, really, too, right? Thorn is gonna hurt you if you touch it. A flower is like nice to touch. It feels nice, it smells nice. So basically he's saying that she's the only woman worth looking at, you know? And later he refers to her as the most beautiful of women. But she is among the daughters, right? The bats, or benot. Benot is the plural of bat. Bat is the daughter, like batch. What do they call it? The bar mitzvah, the bat mitzvah is the daughter. When a daughter raises up, they give her the bar mitzvah. But anyway. As the apple among the trees of the woods, so is my beloved among the sons. I sat down under his shadow with great delight, and his fruit was sweet to my taste. So here we see that, you know, the woman is going back to him now, right? He's complimented her. Now she's complimenting him now. So he was telling her she's like a lily among thorns. She's the only beautiful thing among all these thorns. All the other women are nothing to him. She's the only one that's beautiful to him. And she says to him, he's like the apple tree among the trees of the wood. So an apple tree in the forest, because only like most trees in the forest, they're not like an apple tree. They don't have nice fruit that you can eat. And they don't have that nice smell, or some of them do, but not like the smell of an apple tree is very nice, right? And so the rest of the trees are just in the forest. They're just common trees. You just kind of walk by them. You don't care. You see an apple tree in the forest, you'd be like, whoa, let's get some apples. Let's eat some. Let's smell that thing. Yeah. So that's what she's saying. Like just the same way he said she was like a lily among thorns. She's saying he's like an apple tree in the forest. The forest trees are all just plain trees. Who cares? And the apple tree is the one that you want to actually sit under. That's what she says, right? She sits under. I sat down under his shadow with great delight, and his fruit was sweet to my taste. So that's like an allusion to the fact that she sat down under his shadow, meaning they embraced, and his fruit was sweet to my taste. That means they had sex, basically, or they, sorry, not to be crude or anything, but that's what that means. Okay. Now, there may be some sexual connotations to the apple too. We'll talk about that a bit later, but she talks about the apple later. And here he's placed into the group of among the sons. So he may be like a young man, not like an older man or anything. So she places herself. She sits down under his shade, right? Under his shadow. It's like she's placing himself in the protection of the man. She's kind of allowing him his embrace to be her protection and stuff, yeah. But you know what? We have some Apple things. We have some songs, recent songs, right? There's a song called "In the Shade of the Old Apple Tree." It's a love song, and then there's another one called "Don't Sit Under the Apple Tree." Don't sit under the apple tree with anyone else but me. You ever heard that song? Anyway. It's like, so the apple tree does have this connotation, even in our mind, of something romantic, And then this phrase, I sat down under his shadow, is also found in Hosea 14:7. They that dwell under his shadow shall return. They shall revive as the corn and grow as the vine. The scent thereof shall be as the wine of Lebanon. They that dwell under God's shadow shall return. They that continue to wait on God will return, okay? So it's like, so here it's an image of God, the relationship between God and his people. Here it's the image of the relationship between the man and the woman. But it's an image of an intimate relationship, and also I think you can say it's the image of protection, like, because even in Hosea, it's God who's being referred to right here. So he protects them, he brings them back to return and revives them, right? So I think there's that element as well, like this thing of feeling safe, feeling protected, okay? And his fruit was sweet to my taste. And he brought me to the banqueting house, and his banner over me was love. So this is the last part. So this is the part that some people would say it's another separate poem from verses 1-3. So 1-3 is always seen as one thing. 4-7, some people say it's another separate poem. Other people will say that everything from 1-7 is one poem. But I'll read this section to you. He brought me to the banqueting house, and his banner over me was love. Stay me with flagons, comfort me with apples, for I am sick of love. His left hand is under my head, and his right hand doth embrace me. I charge you, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, by the roes and by the hinds of the field, that ye stir not up, nor awake my love, till ye please. So before they had this kind of love banter between the man and the woman, right? Now, oh wait, I got some comments here. Isaiah verse 1-2, rose there as a flower is the second time mentioned in the Bible, not only 2 times in the Bible. Yeah. I think there is a hymn about the lily of the valley. I think so. Well, we know that the rose of Sharon grows in the forest of Lebanon. The rose of Sharon? What do you mean by that? The term now, rose of Sharon, that term is used about the hibiscus, which is native. The hibiscus that we could think of as the hibiscus is native to China, and it was brought to Europe. So that's the one that they call the Rose of Sharon now. If you look up that word, Rose of Sharon, that's what you'll see. Now, there are flowers that are in the same family as the hibiscus. They're not hibiscus, but they're in the same family. They look like the hibiscus, so different colors though. And they grow in Lebanon. They grow in Israel, and they would probably be found in the Valley of Sharon. But whether this is referring to those, I'm not sure. We don't really know. The bright and morning star. Who's the lily of the valley? Jesus, really? Hey, typical. What's up, brother? God bless, man. Thanks for joining. Jesus is a lily of the valley. Where's that? Is that a thing in the Bible? I didn't know that. So anyway, so they were kind of bantering in the 1 to 3. They're kind of bantering back and forth. Their love banter, right? Now it's like turning to this, where the woman's kind of telling a story. Oh, the hymn goes like that. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I'll check it out, man. That's a cool hymn. I'm gonna do a live about singing to the Lord. So maybe we'll check that out. So anyway, so now she's talking about where her lover took her, right? He took her to this place, this banqueting house, okay? The wine house, you might say. That's what this phrase in Hebrew means just house of wine, which doesn't appear anywhere else in the Bible, but there's similar phrases in other places. I'll show you. But this word is bait. Al means like he brought her there or towards there. To, like he brought me to, this is like to, and then bait is the house, and then ha'ain is like the wine. Okay? But it can also mean drunkenness. So you might say it's the drinking house or something like that, Now there's something similar to this word or this phrase in Esther 7:8. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of the banquet of wine. The place, bait, of the banquet, mishteh, ayin, or yain. So this is similar kind of word. This word place is bait. It's the same word as here, bait, which means house. It doesn't really mean place, but we can say place. It's fine. The place of the banquet, mishteh, of wine, yain. So it's similar thing, right? This is the bait yain, the house of wine, the house of banqueting, and then that's the thing. And then there's also like the drinking house, which we see in we saw it in Ecclesiastes 7. It is better to go to the house of mourning than to the house of feasting. The bait mishteh, house of drinking, you might say too, because that's what this word is. The house of drinking, the house of getting drunk, basically. So it's a place where wine was drunk anyway. That's where they went, right? Whether it's a banquet hall or a room in the palace or a private residence or a tavern or something else, we don't really know. But it's not that important. It's like it's the idea of these senses that are being brought up. The wine, so the wine brings this thing of taste and a nice having fun, and also the taste and the intoxication of it, right? That's all this is brought to mind by wine, the thought of wine, right? And she's already associated wine with love in the song. Remember this. Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for thy love is better than wine. So we already have had this association between love and wine. So this is kind of bringing us back to that thought. Because this word banqueting is yain, right? It's like It's the same word as this one. Yain. It's just wine. It can mean wine or it can mean drunkenness or getting drunk. So that's why King James uses banqueting house here. But it's that idea. It's the place where you can drink, you know? And she'll continue to associate wine and love in this poem. So it's a metaphor that we'll see. And like love, like the wine has this potential to make your head spin, make you intoxicated, make you drunk, you know? So he is intoxicated with her, you know? He has brought her to this place to make love. Now this word, when he says this, his banner over me was love. This word banner is dagal, right? It is like a banner. So what it is a banner like that they would take when they're fighting a war. I don't know if you've ever seen like those old armies, but they always have like a banner, like a flag, and it's just like it carries the symbols of their gods or what have you, right? So all the armies back then, even up to quite recently, actually, armies would have these kind of banners with them. Even actually today, even today. So armies always have these banners, right? So that's what she's referring to, you know. Outside of this poem, this word dagal is only found in Numbers, and in Numbers, it's almost certainly military in its connotation, right? Because Numbers, they're counting the people. But they're counting the armed men, you know? And the children of Israel shall pitch their tents, every man by his own camp, and every man by his own standard, dagal, throughout their hosts. Numbers 152. Because this counting of the people, in Numbers, what they're doing, they're counting the people, right? They're counting them up. So the people are numbering themselves, but they're numbering only the armed men, the men that can fight. The men with swords, the men that know how to fight, the men that are capable of fighting, right? That aren't like disabled or anything, right? So that's why this use of the word is a military use of the word. They're saying that, you know, they each have their standard for their military force, you know? So it's representing the tribe is camping and decamping, and they have their banners because it's a military camp. There, and because kind of like if you think about what it was, right? They're in the deserts, and they're supposed to go to the promised land and conquer the promised land. So it is like a military thing that they're doing there. Now, as time goes on, obviously they fail in that mission, and so they don't actually go to conquer the promised land until much later, right? But they are an army, and they're set up, and they're disciplined, and they're acting as an army here, right? So that's why they use that phrase. So why does she use this phrase? His banner over me was love. So some scholars say, well, why would she want to use this military thing in this love poem, right? But it may be that it's saying that, you know, he's like a soldier. He's young, he's strong, and he loves her. You know, she's giving that image of him, right? Of a soldier, of a strong man who's willing to fight for her, right? And then there's other martial imagery in another love poem in the Bible. You see Psalm 45, the chief musician upon Shoshanim for the sons of Korah, Mashkil, a song of loves. Okay, now there's quite a bit of military imagery in this song. It's a love poem, but it's a poem about the king is going to marry this woman, right? See, my heart is inditing a good matter. I speak of the things which I have made touching the king. My tongue is the pen of a ready writer. Thou art fairer than the children of men. Grace is poured into thy lips, therefore God has blessed thee forever. Gird thy sword upon thy thigh, O most mighty, with thy glory and thy majesty. And in thy majesty ride prosperously, because of truth and meekness and righteousness. And thy right hand shall teach terrible things. So anyway, there are arrows. There's lots of like military imagery in this poem, right? But even though it's a song of loves, right? So that's why we shouldn't hesitate to think that they're using this military image to mark out the love of this man and this woman in the song. So it's kind of like the man has made her as his banner over her. He put his banner over her, meaning that she's his. He belongs to him. She's flying his banner now, right? And so it's like a public display of the fact that they're together. And also the banner means that she's part of his army. So it's like she's part of him. They belong together. They're included together and they're committed to one another too, right? It's like just like how in an army, you guys are like, they're all together. They're gonna fight, they're gonna die together. They love each other, right? So it's the same type of thing, yeah. Anyway, so moving on. Stay with me, flagons, comfort me with apples. Stay me with flagons, comfort me with apples. For I am sick of love. This is an amazing line too, right? Now, what does it exactly mean? The sick of love. Sick of love means, I would say it means she's overwhelmed. It's like the love is made her, she's physically tired from the lovemaking, but she's also like, it's like emotionally taxing for her just having all this love. That's why she's asking, stay me with flagons, comfort me with apples, to give her some strength, some flagons. Flagons is like, it's like a big cup, like a big glass. They put beer in it or they put wine in it and you drink, right? And comfort me with apples is like, give her some food to eat, right? So it's like the intensity of her love has made her sick, physically weak. She's like exhausted, and she's saying this to the daughters of Jerusalem, okay? Oh, daughters of Jerusalem. See down here in verse 7. So when she says this, she's saying it to them. She's saying, give me some flagons, stay me with flagons, stay me, like sustain me with flagons, give me some flagons so I can I won't collapse or whatever, and then comfort me with apples, comfort her, give her comfort, right? Now this word flagons, ashisha, is usually thought of as this raisin cake idea. I don't know why. So let's see if we can find out a little bit more about this. I mean, the word appears in a few other places, and the King James translates it always as flagons. Let me show you those places. So hang on. Okay. Second Samuel 6:19. And he dealt among all the people, even among the whole multitude of Israel, as well to the women as men, to every one a cake of bread, and a good piece of flesh, and a flagon of wine. This is that same word. And the of wine here doesn't appear. So the King James has translated this word as flagon, and now people tend to think that it means some kind of raisin cake. Okay, so David is giving the people food. He gives them one piece of bread, one cake of bread, a good piece of flesh, like meat, and then a flagon of wine, a cup, right? But then, a lot of people nowadays, they think it means raisin cake, which I don't know, maybe, but another place where this comes up is in Hosea 3. Oh, sorry. Then said the Lord unto me, Go yet, love a woman beloved of her friend, yet an adulteress, according to the love of the Lord toward the children of Israel, which look to other gods and love flagons of wine. So this thing, they love the flagons of wine, right? So this word, ashisha, some people think that because they think it's raisin cakes, right? So it's similar to how you saw that in Ezekiel, they're like making the cakes for Tammuz. You guys don't know that story. Oh, sorry, I should talk about Jeremiah actually. The children gather wood and the fathers kindle the fire. Jeremiah 7:18. And the women knead their dough to make cakes to the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto other gods, that they may provoke me to anger. So this cakes to the Queen of Heaven, this is actually, they know this word means cakes. So then they think that they've kind of assumed that this word ashisha means cakes. So they think maybe she's talking about cakes in Hosea 3 as well, you know? So the cakes in Hosea 3, because Hosea 3 is kind of like about, they're like, this is like the children of Israel are worshiping other false gods, right? So they love flagons of wine. They love cakes. They love the cakes because they love to make those cakes for those false gods. So that's what people sometimes say about it. Anyway, we don't really know what it is. So flagons is fine. It's just saying, give me something to drink and to eat so that I won't be sick. I won't be so tired, exhausted, and also just losing strength from the love. She's sick of love because she's tired out, and also she's like, it's kind of weird because she's worn out of love. She's tired from all the love making and all this stuff. But she also wants more, because that's why she's saying, give me more, give me flagons, give me apples, because I'm sick of love. I'm sick, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, but yet I want more. So give me some food so I can have more love. You know what I'm trying to say? So she's worn out, she's tired, but she also wants more. So she's physically tired, but she wants to continue the love making, right? So she's sick of love. Love has made her like faint. This word hala, it usually means like a loss of physical strength. It can mean illness, not just weakness, but probably just means, you know, she's just tired. She's overwhelmed emotionally, physically, right, by her love for the man. And so it's a strong statement about the power of love, but it also may contain this kind of warning to us about how to deal with love. Okay, love is wonderful, but it's also not something to play around with. You don't want to joke around because it can have serious effects. All right, her love is not caused because her lover is not there, but because he is there, right? And so the love itself is causing her to be kind of physically weak. So it's giving this kind of warning. That's why we see here there's a little bit of a warning to the daughters of Jerusalem as well. So maybe it's telling us, hey, you know, love is not to be played around with. It's something it's very amazing, but it's like, you know, it can have these effects, so you got to be careful. And then we see this. His left hand is under my head, and his right hand doth embrace me. So she's describing her embrace with the man, obviously. Now, some people would say that, okay, the best understanding here is that they're lying down and then his left hand is like this. So she's lying in his arm, like her head is lying on his arm. And then when it says his right hand doth embrace me, it's like he's reaching over with his right hand because he wants more lovemaking, you know? And this same verse recurs in verse 8:3. Song of Solomon, verse 8, verse 3. His left hand should be under my head, and his right hand should embrace me. See, and then even the next verse, I charge you, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, that you stir not up nor wake my love till you please. So it's a little bit different. They don't have this thing about the roes and the hinds of the field, but it does say this idea. I charge you, daughters of Jerusalem, that you stir not up nor awake my love until you please. So this is seen as a kind of like refrain in the song. So it's almost like, when you sing a song, they'll have a chorus and then so it brings it back to this thing and then it repeats that. And then it sings another verse, then it repeats. So this is kind of like seen as a kind of refrain in this poem. His left hand is under my head, and his right hand doth embrace me. Okay. Now this word embrace, it doesn't necessarily mean sexual embrace, but it can. So it can mean just an affectionate greeting, like Genesis 29:13. And it came to pass when Laban heard the tidings of Jacob, his sister's son, he ran to meet him and embraced him, Shabak, or Habak, and kissed him and brought him to the house. Okay. But it can also mean a sexual embrace. Proverbs 5:20. Why wilt thou, my son, be ravished with a strange woman and embrace the bosom of a stranger? Embrace Habak. Okay. So in this context, is probably referring to a sexual embrace, obviously, right? But anyway, I charge you, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, by the roes and by the hinds of the field, that ye stir not up nor awake my love till he please. So she's calling on the listeners, like they're the witnesses to their relationship, right? To swear an oath. And so I charge you, or I adjure you. So she's urging them to make a promise to her, but what's the nature of the promise? The promise itself is, stir not up nor awake my love till he please. That's what she wants them to promise, right? Now this thing, stir not up, is ur. See that? And then awake is ur. It's like another form of it's a different word, but it's like they're related. They're from the same root. And so the meaning of this one has to do with like more arousal, or excitation to some activity. So it's like this. So it's like she's saying, stir not up and then awake not, nor awake. So it's like reinforcing the idea. So it's making it very strongly, like, do not wake him up. Don't wake him up or disturb him. If I said to you, don't wake up my brother, he's sleeping. Right? That's like okay. But if I say, don't wake up or disturb my brother, now it's like, okay, well, now it's like he's more serious, right? So that's the idea there. It's emphasizing it. Now, some people are thinking that it's like, oh, don't disturb us until we're done our lovemaking, but it's probably not. It's probably more like, it's like it's a warning to women, other women who may look on the relationship and want to experience something similar, that don't force it. Okay? Wait for love to blossom, don't hurry it, don't push it. You know? And it's talking to us, kind of, right? Because we're like surrogates, or the daughters of Jerusalem are representing us. She's talking to us. You know, we're supposed to learn this lesson that wait for love to blossom. Don't push it. Don't rush it. Don't try to wake it up before it's ready. You know, stir not up, nor wake my love till he please. So you wait for it, and don't try to make it artificially make it happen. You know, and we've already seen, because look, we've already seen that love takes its toll, right? I'm sick of love. So it's like this thing, like, look, love is amazing, it's beautiful, but don't try to jump into it unless you're ready, because it's not just, there's lots of serious issues here, you know? It's not some fling that you can just have fun with and leave behind. It's something it's demanding, and it can be exhausting, you know? Now, the thing is that she also says this, by the rows and by the hinds of the field, right? Let me show you the Hebrew for this. By the rows and by the hands of the field. Hinds of the field. The hinds is like a deer, right? Like a female deer. And the row, what's a row? It's a deer too, I think, but I don't know if it's a male deer or what. Oh, it's a small deer species. Okay, so it's a type of deer. It's not necessarily a male deer or a female deer, but it's a type of deer. Okay, the row. Well, let me show you this thing in Hebrew, because it's kind of interesting, this part. So she says, by the rows, this is Yerushalayim, and then but Sabaot, or but Sav, wait, how do you pronounce this? Tavaot. Sounds almost like an army. Anyway, oh, this is a female gazelle. Oh, it is a female. Because of the way they write it, with the ot, it means it's a female. Or it's a group of females. And then this is a group of female deers. So this is like a small deer, and this is our gazelle or something you might call it, and this is like a small deer of the field. And sadeh is the field, okay? But the thing about this is interesting is when it says by the, it says this the way it's saying it, like it's like this is the word by here. It's like that letter, the bait letter, when they put it at the beginning of a word, it's like it can be like a preposition, and it can mean in, usually means in, but it can mean at or by or something like that. So she's saying by the thing, by the hinds, by the Zavaot, and by the ayalot hasadeh. Okay. And then in other places in the Bible, you see this same type of phrase used about like the Lord God, by the Lord of hosts, or by the God Almighty. Okay. Which, so is maybe that this is like a reference, a kind of reference to God, you know, like because this is the same way they would phrase it if they said by the Lord of hosts, by the God Almighty. They would say they would phrase it the same way in Hebrew. Okay, so it might be this reference to that, because the word, like God's name barely appears in this book. But this might be a kind of reference to that without saying it. Now, there is a possible exception to the idea that the divine name doesn't appear in the book. Set me as a seal upon thine heart, as a seal upon thine arm. For love is strong as death, jealousy is cruel as the grave. The coals thereof are coals of fire, which hath the most vehement flame. I don't know why they think that this is something to do with the name. Set me as a seal upon thine heart. Anyway, some people think that this is something to do with the name, but I'm not too sure about that. We'll look into that when we get there. But this may be a reference to that idea of swearing by God, you know? But I'll let you think about that. That's not necessarily the interpretation, but it's interesting that they use that phrase. Oh, and this phrase is also repeated in 3:5 as well. I charge you, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, by the roes and by the hinds of the field, that you stir not up nor awake my love till you please. So this is a different earlier verse, though, right? Because you know the one that I showed you before in what was that? Anyway, the one I showed you before, it doesn't have this other. It has the other phrase above, right? His left hand is under my head, his right hand doth embrace me, and then it says this thing, without saying this thing about the roes and the hinds of the field. But this one in 3:5, it has the thing about the roes and the hinds of the field, but it doesn't have the thing about him putting his hand under her head or anything like that. You know? But if you go to the other one, which is 8:4, what was it? Oh, yeah, 8:4. I charge you, O ye daughters of Jerusalem. See, this one in 8:3, it has the thing. His left hand should be under my head. His right hand should embrace me. So there's this repetition, but it's not consistent in the way it's repeated. But it's almost like a refrain. But anyway, I'll move on. So now we get into the second part of the poem. So for this usually seen as one part of a poem too, from 8 to the end. Let me read it. The voice of my beloved, behold, he cometh, leaping upon the mountains, skipping upon the hills. Or actually, I don't want to read this whole thing because we read the thing before, right? So you get it, right? But then I'm gonna look at this now. This section, though, from 8 to the end of the chapter, is there's some debate about whether it's one poem or not, but most people agree that it's one poem. Okay, and then like I say, I would tell you that it's one section of the longer poem. The whole book, the Song of Solomon, is one poem, but these are each little sections of the poem, you know. But it begins with this. She's excited that her lover's coming, right? And then she likens him to this stag, a roe or a young hart. A roe is a little deer, right? And a hart is a male deer. And so he looketh behind the wall, you know. So she likens him to this stag or a deer, right? And then he's calling her to a tryst, to you know, he invites her out, right, to go with him. And then she's still speaking though. She's like talking, she's quoting him, so she's still talking, right? And then So verse 10 and also verse 13 are part of this quoted invitation. Arise, my love, my fair one, and come away. Right? And this is kind of seen as like a little inclusio. So this is like him, she's quoting him, inviting her. And this is him inviting her. She's quoting him, right? So this is seen as a like an inclusio. Remember we talked about the inclusio where you might see at the beginning and at the end of a little section of the Bible, whether it's a book or a chapter or even a smaller section, you might see a phrase or a word or something or a concept even that it's at the beginning and at the end. And if it is an actual inclusio, if it's not just a repetition randomly, then that usually shows that that section is supposed to be considered together and that that thing is some kind of theme for that section. Okay? So the theme here would be that he's inviting her to go away with him, you know? He's telling her to rise up. You know? And then that goes on. And then this is probably the most difficult verse here about the foxes. We'll talk about it more in depth. Now, it seems like this is a response of the woman to the man's request to see her, you know? It's an odd response, but it's probably talking about the obstacles to their intimacy, you know? We'll talk about it some more in a minute. And then in 16 and 17, she talks about how she wants union with the man. And then the unity of this poem, the fact that this section from 8 to 17 is one poem, is this sort of chiastic structure here. If you compare verse 8 with verse 17, then look at verse 17. Until the daybreak and the shadows flee away, turn my beloved and be thou like a roe or a young hart upon the mountains of Bethel, right? The roe or the young hart. And if you go up to verse 8, you know, he's coming, he's like verse 9, sorry. He's like a roe or a young hart. So that's seen as like an inclusio as well within the poem, the larger poem. So we'll talk about that anyway. So verse 8, the voice of my beloved, behold, he cometh leaping upon the mountains, skipping upon the hills. So the voice, if you think of it as, I mean, she's very excited for her husband to come, right? Or her man to come, right? Her beloved. And so he's excited too. He's leaping, he's skipping, right? And when it says the voice of her beloved, the whole is the voice, right? Some say it might be that it's saying, oh, hark, like, behold, my lover is coming, you know? But it's probably just that she's talking about her voice. Maybe she heard him, you know? Maybe he's saying something, or maybe he's singing something. Maybe he's calling out to her, right, as he comes, or maybe he's singing, you know, because it is a song, right? But he's not just walking or running, he's leaping, he's skipping, he's bounding, you know, he's like really excited. And it brings you back to that image of the gazelle, right? Or like the deer or the hart. They jump, you know, the way they leap. So where else do we see this word now? this leaping word or skipping. Let me see. Isaiah 35:6. Then shall the lame man leap as in harps, and the tongue of the dumb sing. For in the wilderness shall waters break out, and streams in the desert. So the lame man shall leap as in harts. The hart is again a male deer. So the lame man will leap dalag like a hart. Dalag. Okay? And then where else do we see this? It's not always connected with animals though. Like you can see it in Zephaniah 1:9. In the same day also will I punish all those that leap on the threshold, dalag, which fill their masters' houses with violence and deceit. Now the leaping over the threshold here is probably like this pagan ritual that they used to do. All right. The prophet's condemning that, right? And then in Psalm 18, one of my favorite Psalms, he says this. As for God, his way is perfect. The word of the Lord is tried. Oh, wait. Is this the right one? Oh, yeah. For by thee I have run through a troop, and by my God have I leaped over a wall. Leaped is dalag, okay? So it can be about humans as well. This other word, though, the skipping, is kind of like a it's what they call a hapax legomenon. It's a word that hapax means one in Greek, and then legomenon is like it's like said or it was said. So it's the thing that has been said only once. So the hapax legomenon, you only see this word once in the Bible. But it does seem to be something about leaping and jumping. There's some other words that are similar in Arabic and Aramaic that refer to leaping and jumping. So people generally assume that's what it means. But anyway, he's leaping and bounding over the hills, right? And these two words are found kind of frequently together, the leaping and the bounding. They're usually found together. They're usually taken as synonyms, and they communicate that the lover is he's overcoming obstacles to reach his beloved. He'll jump over anything to get there, you know? His determination to reach her. My beloved is like a roe or a young hart. Behold, he standeth behind our wall. He looketh forth at the windows, showing himself to the lattice. So he's like the young deer, right? Now the gazelle here, or the deer here, the roe or a young hart. Like this word for the young hart is used a number of times in the song, okay? And it's often paralleled with this word of the roe or the zevi, which is now usually thought of as a gazelle, but King James puts roe, which is fine. But how's the lover like these animals, right? When is that he's excited, he's jumping, he's swift to come to her side, he's running, he's determined to get there, and he'll jump over anything to get there. So he's coming rapidly, right? That's the thing. That's the one thing about both of these animals is they run fast and they jump over things, right? And they're also beautiful. You know, they're very graceful. They're very elegant. You know, so that's another part of it. And this word, actually, by the way, this word I'm trying to find this verb here. Oh, because this word sevi, it sounds almost like the word for beautiful in Hebrew, right? So it might be like a compliment about his beauty as well, calling him a roe or a young hart. And then these animals kind of radiate this masculine sexuality, right? The hart with the horns on his head, not the horns, the antlers, People generally have it has this kind of element of that masculinity to it. Oh, by the way, these animals, the Sevi, it's sometimes brought up in some of the Mesopotamian love incantations. When the Mesopotamians used to do magic for love magic, especially to dispel like what we now call erectile dysfunction or impotence, right? They have magic for that, right? The Mesopotamians. And one of the things that they would evoke is this animal. So maybe that she's referring to that, something about its masculine sexual energy or something like that. But anyway, he's run over the mountains to come and be with his woman, right? And he says, "Rise up, my loved one, my love, my fair one, and come away." Actually, let me get to that in a minute. But he rose up, he looketh forth at the windows, showing himself to the lattice. He's looking through the windows. Sometimes the deer will come and do that too, right? And he's come from the countryside to the city to fetch his beloved. But he doesn't cross the threshold into her home, right? He's looking through the windows. He's still in the countryside. But the countryside is more romantic. The city is kind of this place, kind of dangerous in this story, in this poem. Whenever they're in the city, it's kind of dangerous unless they're inside. If they're outside in the city, it's kind of dangerous. So he doesn't go in the city though. He stays outside the city. He stays in the countryside. He stares in through the window, right? But he's not like looking in like a peeping Tom, right? He's actually just beckoning her to join him, right? And he stands quietly and looks intently because, I mean, think about it, how he was running, he was leaping, he was jumping, he was excited, he was jumping to get there. But then when he gets there now, he's just still looking through the window and trying to get her to come outside, right? So it's like this tension. It creates this tension. Like, will she come? Will she stay? So that's the idea. That's partly what's going on here. So he says, "My beloved spake and said unto me, Rise up, my love, my fair one, and come away. For lo, the winter is past, the rain is over and gone. The flowers appear on the earth, the time of the singing of birds is come, and the voice of the turtle is heard in our land." So it starts off with this sort of prose phrase, "My beloved spake and said unto me, Rise up, my love, my fair one, and come away." So she's reporting his speech, right? So the man is inviting the woman to join him. And then this continues on down to the thing until verse 13. Okay, so he's going to continue to talk. So she's quoting him. So she's the one actually speaking here, okay? So it may be that she's speaking from behind the wall, like remember he was saying that he's looking through the window, through the lattice, like the deer, right? So maybe he's saying this from behind the wall, saying this to her, "Rise up, my love, my fair one, come away." So he's calling her to join him. But anyway, the main part of this invitation is from here to verse 13, right? And but notice that it's like, rise up, my love, my fair one, and come away. And that's the first part of it. And then the end part of it, arise, my love, my fair one, and come away. So that is the inclusio here, right? For this little section. So the middle members of this, so and then some people see this as a chiastic thing, right? So think about it this way. So this section, this line is linked up with this line. And then there's like, and then the second line is linked with the second last line. And then there's a middle section, right? So the middle section is what then? The flowers? Oh, the middle section is my love, my fair one. Oh, if you think of this as one kind of chiastic thing between this and this, my love, my fair one is the middle part. And then come away, that's the end part of it. In Hebrew, that's how it breaks down. Interesting. Rise up, my love, my fair one, and come away. Interesting. So okay, so each of these is a little chiastic thing. Each of these, when he says this in Hebrew, it's like rise up, my love, Raya, Rayita. Oh, wait. How do you pronounce that? Rayati, Yafati. My fair one. Rayati Yafati, my fair one, my love. Interesting. Anyway, so that's kind of interesting, the chiasm thing. Maybe you don't care about that. But anyway, so now 11. For lo, the winter is past, the rain is over and gone. So the winter's past, the spring is here. Let's go. Let's go outside. Let's have fun. It's like springtime is universally understood as this time for love, right? Warmer weather, flowers, time to go outside. You know? And you can leave the city and go to the country because it's nice, and springtime is nice, right? The word for now, when it says the winter here, that's kind of a rare word. But the rain, that word is more common, you know? And that word is it's usually the winter rains. There's a winter rains and there's another rain in the there's like the latter rains and the former rains, they call it, okay? So there's winter is from like October till April in that part of the world. And there gets some rain at that time. So they're probably talking about around May. That's when the rains will be over and the winter's over, and so that's like springtime, right? The flowers appear on the earth, the time of the singing of birds is come, and the voice of the turtle is heard in our land. So It's more clues about spring, right? The flowers, the fig tree, you know? The fig tree putteth forth her green figs. Oh, wait, I should talk about verse 2, right? Flowers appear in the earth. The time of the singing of birds is come. The voice of the turtle is in our land. So there's three things that are announcing the spring: the flowers, the birds singing, and the voice of the turtle. The turtle is probably like the turtle dove. It's like another singing bird, right? The singing of bird, the zamar. Now, sometimes they'll say this word means pruning, but it seems clear here that it's about singing. So I would say it's about singing. But there may be some people do say pruning, but it's weird because why pruning, right? And then the this is the turtle dove, not a turtle, but the turtle dove. So it's making this noise like they also sing kind of, right? They kind of coo. So that's another sign of spring. Hey, Kenneth, what's up, bro? God bless, man. Hey, thanks, Altata. God bless you as well. Bro, I finally decided to... Whoa, wrong text box. Keep cooking. Thanks. Mike, hi, say hi to my nephew, Ramon. Thanks. Hi, Ramon. How are you, buddy? God bless you, man. Thanks for joining. God bless, man. Ramon. Is that how you pronounce his name? So, okay. So where were we? So the fig tree. So the fig tree is also a sign of spring, right? In verse 13 here. Sorry, I'm not highlighting verse 13, right? But we're moving on to the 13 now. The fig tree putteth forth her green figs. The vines with the tender grape give a good smell. Arise, my love, my fair one, and come away. So the fig tree ripens and it gives its fruit, right? And the blossoms of the vine have this nice scent. And they have their grapes, right? So this is like springtime scents and smells, and see they bring in all these different things, right? The smell of it, the look, the hear, the sound of things, and they bring in all your senses, right? Because it's sensual, you know. It's the poem is about love and sex, right? So it's about like sensuality, right? The senses, right? So they're involving all these things. And so, and also these settings like the fig tree, that's a place they would grow figs like for food, right? They would have orchards of fig trees. They would have vineyards where they grow grapes. This is all this setting like in the farm, in the agrarian setting, okay? And that's often used in this poem to talk about love as well. It's like a place of intimacy, love making, you know? Now this fig putteth forth her green fig. This is like kind of like they're ripening. The fig tree ripening her green figs, or it's becoming ripe, you know, putting it forth. Sometimes it's used about embalming a corpse, that word. So that's kind of. But the idea of embalming a body and ripening of a fruit aren't that far as you might think. Like they put certain liquid spices into a body, you know, when they embalm it. So that might be why. The word for the fruit here, pag, is actually another hapax legomenon in biblical Hebrew. But it's found in Arabic and also some other Hebrew that's not in the Bible, like some other post-biblical Hebrew writings. So that's why they know that it's basically a fig. And we know that the fig as a sign of spring is also found in the New Testament. Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When her branch is yet tender and putteth forth leaves, you know that summer is near. Mark 13:28. So it's not only the ripening of the fig, but the smell of the vine. That's a telltale sign of spring here, right? That's why she's saying it gives forth a smell, right? It gives forth a scent, I should say, or a good smell. It gives a good smell. And the vineyard is mentioned a lot in this psalm, right? In this song. For example, look not upon me because I am black, because the sun hath looked upon me. My mother's children were angry with me. They made me keeper of the vineyards, but my own vineyard have I not kept. And Song 611, I went down into the garden of nuts to see the fruits of the valley, to see whether the vine flourished and the pomegranates budded. So it's that idea of the place where the vine is growing. That's the place to find her lover. 7:9, and the roof of thy mouth is like the best wine for my beloved, that goeth down sweetly, causing the lips of those that are asleep to speak. Amen. Now, this word for the blossom. Sorry, hang on. The fig tree. This word, the vines with the tender grapes, samadar, right? This word is usually translated as blossom nowadays. At the time, they didn't know this word, I guess, when the King James was written. But they don't really know this word. They don't know what it means. Okay. But it also occurs in 7:10. I am thy beloved, and his desire is toward me. Oh, wait. Wait, what? I don't know where this word is. Hang on. Sorry, guys. One sec. I gotta find this word now. Oh, it's 7:12. My bad. Tender grape, the samadar, right? So they don't know what this word means, but the King James puts grape, and nowadays they often put blossom, so they don't really know, but it seems like it might be some kind of blossom for them. But I would say it probably is a grape. It is talking about vines here. This is a word for vine, But some people say it might be like even like a geographical location, because there's a similar word in these tablets from Ebla, which is this place where these other people lived. So we don't really know what that word is, but I would say grape is fine because we don't know what it means, and the King James is always correct. So the point is, though, it's bringing this idea of freshness, newness, new growth, springtime, right? That's the idea. And then the invitation begins as it ends as it began. Rise up, my love, my fair one, and come away. 2:10. And then 2:13. Arise, my love, my fair one, and come away. So that little section is done now. And then now 2:14. Oh, my dove that art in the clefts of the rock, in the secret places of the stairs, let me see thy countenance, let me hear thy voice. For sweet is thy voice, and thy countenance is comely. So this verse is long, right? But it's that's why sometimes they think that this is not connected, but I do think it's all one poem, right? So it does continue the theme of the man's invitation to the woman. He wants her to come with him, right? She's presently separated from it, and she's kind of almost hidden from him. He can't even see her, you know? She's in a secret place, in the clefts of the rock. He's calling for her to let him see her, let him hear her voice. You know? And she may be in this place that's kind of barren and desolate, like the rocks, the secret places of the stairs. It's not like this fruitful garden, right? This fig trees and grapevines and all this stuff. Here she's in the clefts of the rock, in the secret places of the stairs. Stairs are like a steep mountainous place, right? That's what it's talking about there. All right. I got it. I got his name right. I'm glad. Thanks, bro. God bless you, Ramon. Hey, Nathan, what's up, bro? God bless, man. Trying to get through chapter 2 of Song of Solomon. It's been a challenge, but we're getting there. This is such a nice line, actually. Oh, my dove, that art in the clefts of the rock, in the secret places of the stairs. Let me see thy countenance, let me hear thy voice. For sweet is thy voice, and thy countenance is comely. Wow, so good. But anyway, this clefts of the rock, right? Notice that, clefts of the rock. You can see this in Exodus 33. Or Exodus, it's right at the end. So Moses is here asking God to show me thy glory, he says, right? What does he say? I beseech thee, show me thy glory, right? And he said, I will make all my goodness pass before thee, and I will proclaim the name of the Lord before thee. I will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and will show mercy on whom I will show mercy. And he said, Thou canst not see my face, for there shall no man see me and live. And the Lord said, Behold, there is a place by me, and thou shalt stand upon a rock. And it shall come to pass, while my glory passeth by, that I will put thee in a cleft of the rock. I will cover thee with my hand while I pass by. And I will take away mine hand, and thou shalt see my back parts, but my face shall not be seen. So he hid Moses in the cleft of the rock, so Moses wouldn't see him and be destroyed by the vision of him, right? So it's like that kind of place where he's referring to here. So it's like it's like a rocky kind of hard place, not like a nice garden where he was, you know? So Maybe that he's trying to bring her out of that place, like maybe in the city where she is, and he's in the country, and so bring her out of there to where he is. So it's not that it's really that she's really like that, right? But it's that she's in this place, like maybe in the city. I'm saying that metaphor is probably here, right? Where she's in the city and he's in the country. He's in the nice garden place with flowers and fruits, and she's like, back there stuck in the house. So he's inviting her out to enjoy life with him out there. And he says that she's a dove, right? Yonah. And he already compared her eyes to a dove earlier, if you may recall. Behold, thou art fair, my love. Behold, thou art fair. Thou hast dove's eyes. So now he says, oh, my dove. It's like a nickname, right? Like an epithet. So maybe because the dove is this gentle symbol, it's a symbol of love and peace. And of course, we know that it was a dove that landed on Jesus, and the Spirit of God, the Holy Spirit, came in the form of a dove and landed on Jesus. So that's also significant here, probably. There may be some reference to the goddess of love in some of the ancient Near Eastern ideas. They would often, like those Mesopotamians and the Canaanites, would often have these dove figurines in their temples, the temples to the love goddess. But I wouldn't go there with this. I wouldn't really. Just like a lot of the scholars say stuff like that, but I wouldn't really go there with that. But the one thing about the dove is it has this ability to hide and to nest in hidden, out of the way places. So it's kind of like he's trying to look for her. She's almost hiding from him, right? But if you see like Jeremiah 48:28, O ye that dwell in Moab, leave the cities and dwell in the rock, and be like the dove that maketh her nest in the sides of the hole's mouth. The dove makes her nest in the rocks to hide away, right? Ezekiel 7:16. But they that escape of them shall escape. It shall be on the mountains like doves of the valleys. All of them mourning, every one for his iniquity. So they will escape into the mountains like the doves. So she's hiding in these clefts, these crevices, secret places of the stairs. Stairs is again like a mountain, like a steep part of the mountain, right? So it's like, it seems like maybe like the fact that he's unable to access her makes her like more desirable to him. Like he really wants. Is like it's making him crazy. And then that's why he says, "Let me see thy countenance. Let me see thy voice. Let me see your face. Let me hear your voice. For sweet is thy voice, and thy countenance is comely." Comely means beautiful, right? So he's telling her how beautiful she is. She's a pleasure to see and to hear. So her form and her voice are attractive, right? This word mare, it's not the usual word they use for countenance or face. Usually they'll use this word pay. So this is unusual. Or sorry, they usually use this word pane, not pay. Pay is the mouth, but pane is the face. But instead they use this word. It's like very, very unusual. And even this word, let me see, ra'ah, is kind of unusual too. To use in this kind of like context, yeah. So this is kind of like a noun form of this word. Let me see, ra'ah, thy countenance, mare. So this is the noun of this verb. You know, let me see your look. Let me see your look, you might say, you know? Or let me see your appearance or something like that. You know? And then let me hear your voice. Let me see thy countenance, let me hear thy voice. For sweet is thy voice, and thy countenance is comely. See how they do that? Where it's like, let me see thy countenance, that's the first thing, and then hear thy voice is the second thing. But then when it says the reasons, it goes voice, then countenance. So it's reversing it, right? So that's what they call a chiastic pattern as well. That's a chiasm as well. Okay? So that's a poetic device that's pretty interesting there. Take us to foxes, the little foxes that spoil the vines. For our vines have tender grapes. Now, this is a little bit difficult to understand. I mean, maybe it's difficult to maybe it's easy to understand that in by itself, but in the context, it's a little bit hard. It's like, who is even saying this? Is it the man or the woman? You know, some people say that the woman's saying it. It's saying like, okay, he has to see her, to hear her voice and see her face, and she's saying, "Take us the foxes, the little foxes that spoil the vines, for our vines have tender grapes." You know? So she's just answering his desire to hear her voice. Like he's like, some people have suggested this. I'm telling you that this is what it means. I'm telling you that some people suggest this. Because we don't, it's like hard to figure out why she's saying this or who's saying it. Is it the man saying it or is it the woman saying it? It doesn't really, it's hard to, so there's debate over this, right? But if you assume that it's the woman, some people have said that he asked her to hear her voice. So she's saying this, she's almost like singing him a little short song. And so that's all she's saying. And it has nothing to do with the context, really, just that she's saying this thing, you know? But it may be, which is possible, but it may be a little separate poem placed in the thing in the middle. I don't think so, though. Obviously, I think the whole thing is one poem, so I won't go there with it. It may be saying that there are foxes loose in the vineyard, destroying the fruits. So, like, the foxes were a pest back then, and when they were growing the vines and growing the grapes and stuff, you know, they would come in and eat the grapes and just break things and stuff. So it's not good, right? And they're always considered to be these guileful creatures. They make riddles and stuff. They're almost like a serpent. They're cunning, you know. And elsewhere in the poem, the vineyard represents the woman, right? And like, for example, in here, but mine own vineyard have I not kept. Here, the vineyard here is her good looks. So it may be that it's saying that the foxes are running in the vineyard, and they're posing some kind of threat to her, right? So they're a threat to their relationship. Now, some people say that threat to the relationship is a rival, like other suitors that like her, other men that like her, right? But probably not. No, it just may be that there's something that's some kind of obstacle to their relationship that she's talking about here, you know? But I'll leave that for you guys to think about, because it's a bit unclear, that part of the passage. Now, 16, my beloved is mine and I am his. He feedeth among the lilies. He feedeth among the lilies. It's like kind of like the deer. Remember, she was comparing him to a deer or a gazelle or something. So that's kind of what the image is. So this is definitely the woman speaking here, right? We don't know who said this part, whether it's the man or the woman, but we know this is the woman. And this phrase that she says here, it also recurs in chapter 6, verse 3. I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine. He feedeth among the lilies. This is another kind of refrain that makes you understand that this is one. That's why also these type of repetitions of these lines is another indication that this whole thing is one poem. It's one song, you know? I know some people will try to say that there's many songs here, but it's hard to justify why they would repeat these same phrases again and again, you know? But she says, he is mine. He is my beloved, which you'd think like that's enough to say he is mine, right? But she says, my beloved is mine. She repeats this idea, right? He belongs to him and she belongs to her, right? And I am his. My beloved is mine and I am his. So it's like, it's not saying that, I mean, it's totally voluntary. They're not slaves of each other, right? It's just that they are one. I will be, it's kind of like how it says Jeremiah 7:23. But this thing I commanded them, saying, obey my voice, and I will be your God, and ye shall be my people. I will be your God, and you shall be my people. It's that kind of phraseology here. My beloved is mine, and I am his. You know, and that often comes up in the Bible, obviously, right? But then he grazes among the lilies. Some people, it may be some kind of intimate act, right, between the two of them. Because in other places, she's likened to a garden or to something like that, or a vineyard, right? So here he's kind of he's feeding among the lilies. So maybe that he's doing something sexually with her. We see the same idiom in 4:5. Thy two breasts are like two young roes that are twins, which feed among the lilies. But this is talking about her breasts, so it's different, right? It's not like him. So that's also worth thinking about. What exactly does that mean? He feedeth among the lilies. Right? But you can also look at 5:13. His cheeks are as a bed of spices, as sweet flowers. His lips like lilies, dropping sweet smelling myrrh. So his lips are like lilies here. Yeah. And they're dripping myrrh, so they're like perfumed lilies, you know? So maybe if his lips are like lilies and he's feeding among the lilies, maybe it's her lips. Her lips are the lilies. So he feedeth among the lilies, meaning he's kissing her, right? That might be what it's about. But I'll let you guys think about that as well, because that's not quite clear, but there's some debate about it. Until the day break and the shadows flee away, turn, my beloved, and be thou like a roe or a young hart upon the mountains of Bether. All right. So this is a nice comment to end the chapter. It's all this romantic kind of feelings evoked here, right? But what exactly does she mean by that, right? This is what we need to kind of figure out here. Until the day break and the shadows flee away. So maybe she's saying, until the day break and the shadows flee away, turn, my beloved. So it seems like maybe until the day breaks, let's continue our lovemaking or something like that, right? And be thou like a roe or a young hart upon the mountains of Bether. This is the thing that we need to figure out. Or first of all, what is the time reference? Why is it like until the daybreak, right? Is she asking him to stay all day or to stay all night? Some people would say, it sounds like all night, right? But there's some debate about that because of the Hebrew. But I'll go with this translation, obviously, because it's King James. But what's the turn thing? The turn. Savav, right? Turning to her. Turn, my beloved. Turn to me. You know? Like she wants him to turn toward her, to be with her. Turn, my beloved. Right? But what does it mean? I mean, that's what I would say. I mean, I would say, okay, so the daybreak and the shadows flee away. King James makes it clear. Other authors, they would reject this translation. Okay, but I would say this is fine. So until the daybreak and the shadows flee away, until the day comes, all night, turn, my beloved. Turn. Sounds like turn to me, right? Turn to me. Be with me, right? But then what is this? Be thou like a roe or a young hart upon the mountains of Bether. Now she's already compared him to a roe or a young hart. The roe is Zavi, which the King James translates as a roe. A roe is a small deer. Most people think this is referring to a gazelle or something, so they'll say that. But whatever, a gazelle is like a small deer, right? And then a young hart. The young hart is a deer. This is a deer. Ayal, the Hebrew word. And a hart is a male deer, right? So she's comparing it to the gazelle or the roe and the deer, right? The stag. So which is both they're fast and also they have this kind of sensual, almost masculine sexual energy to them, right? The way the animal is, you know. So she's telling him to be like them. Be thou like a roe or a young hart. So she wants it to be like that, like those animals, their sensuality. But what is the mountains of Bether? What's that about? Right? We don't actually know what this name is. We don't actually know where this place is. Some people think it's not really just a place name. We don't have it. We don't have any other like reference to this name in the Bible, right? So we don't actually know where this is. And then the word is Bether. So some people think, you see at the bottom how it says gorge, like that it's a verb, and so they think it means gorge or something, like eat, right? But we don't know. And then some people think it means there's a root of Bether or similar root that means like to cut to pieces. But what's the relevance of that here? Don't know, you know? So some people say that because it's like cut to pieces, Bether, right? Or sometimes, or this root, or there's a root of the similar root that sounds like cut to pieces. So some people think this is referring to her cleavage, and this is a bit of a stretch, maybe. So that she's inviting him to play with her breasts, right? Maybe. As some people say that it might be because it's a mountain, right? So they consider it to be like the female mound, if you know what I'm talking about, the Mons Veneris, as they call it in Latin. But they're probably just a image of her herself, right? So it's like he wants him to be like a roe or a young hart that's on the mountain. She's the mountain. She's the mountain of Bethel. Well, what is Bethel? We don't know, but maybe some kind of beautiful mountain. But she's calling him to be like a roe or a deer on the mountain, right? So we don't know what that exactly means, but I'll let you guys think about that. Those are some possible theories about it that you might consider. Okay, but that is Song of Solomon, chapter 2. I wish I could do some New Testament connections, but I can't do it right now. Okay, guys, because I'm running out of time. I gotta get ready. So we'll do it next time. But let me just say a prayer and we'll call it a day. Heavenly Father, Almighty God, Father, thank you so much for this Bible study, for these brethren that come and the sisters that come and join me and study. Bless them, Father. Give them wisdom. Give them strength. Encourage them in their walk. Give them wisdom to understand all these Bible verses we've studied and help them to apply them to their lives in a way that's honoring to you and glorifying to you and glorifying to your Holy Son, Jesus Christ. On him be glory forever and ever. Amen. All right, you guys. So thanks for joining me. Sorry, I hope that wasn't too confusing. I know that's a bit of a that particular end of the poem can be confusing a little bit, but I like this chapter a lot. One of the best lines in this chapter is that one where she says, "I'm sick of love." Yeah. Where is it? Where is it again? Hang on. Can't find it now. Stay me with flagons, comfort me with apples, for I am sick of love. So good, man. Wow, this is really good poetry, man. Anyway, thanks, guys. So I'll be back in about half an hour. We're gonna do a live stream about Israel Palestine. So please join us if you have time, or if otherwise, I'll see you later. And thanks for watching Toronto Bible Study. Hallelujah.
Okay. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 Studying the Bible with Mike, Sam, Pat. These other YouTubers are just so trash. Hit the thumbs up if you want to support. Go follow Mike as he follows the Lord. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 You better watch out, Mike's calling out the shills. If you're not free grace, you need to sit down and chill. We're not hyper grace, you know we keep it real. Eternally secure, you know that we're sealed. We don't back low, we're not workspace heretics. Mike's not in it for the money, trying to get a lick. They out here selling their souls for a couple clicks. Becoming Freemasons so they can't just get rich. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 Shout out to Mike, Sam, Pat. Check out his channel, Toronto Bible Study. Subscribe and like.